This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, and this video is about the fear of immigrants. So yeah, you probably have heard in the news that another caravan is coming with immigrants. Oh no, we're under attack. They're unarmed, first of all. Unarmed. They pose no threat. But yet the Republicans and Trump think, oh, they are a threat. We've got to stop them. We've got to cause fear and panic in America and get people rioting. Yeah. So, what is this fear of immigrants? How is it composed? How do they think the way they think? And is it really sound? Well, the obvious answer is no, it's not sound. So, first, I already explained, they don't have weapons. They are walking all those miles to seek refuge. They're not being heroes of their country, bringing bombs and guns to America to destroy it. You know, all we have to do is drop one bomb on them and they all die. So they don't pose any threat, any physical threat. So what about some of the other excuses that alt-right conservatives give for loathing and despising and hating and not wanting immigrants into this country? Well, another is land. If we let everybody who wants to come to America into America, there won't be any room for us. Is that true? No. It's already been figured that a cube city the size of the dimensions of Manhattan will fit all 7 billion people that are currently in the world today. That's right, we can all fit in Manhattan. Now, of course, that's an awfully tight space, and there won't be much room, but as you can tell, if 7 billion people can fit in Manhattan, we definitely can handle everybody coming to America. We can handle a bigger land mass to spread people out a little bit more than a Manhattan apartment, which you spend several thousand a month for like closet space, basically. And so land is not a problem. There are many people who say, oh, we're overrun, we don't have room for growth, we need to depopulate. And what do they mean by depopulate? They mean we need to kill people off. There is no threat to an overpopulated Earth. And the other thing that people say is with global warming. Even those who believe in global warming are using that as a tactic to murder people, saying that we need to depopulate the Earth so that there's less carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere. It is not carbon dioxide that is the problem. It is the mixture of the increase in population with deforestation. When we get rid of trees, there's nothing to process carbon dioxide back into oxygen. And so as long as we make the Earth a garden, we can still handle many more people than we currently have. Many billions, even trillions, can fit on Earth. We've got the room. We can do it. We just have to make sure that we turn the Earth into a garden. So the concept that we can't have more people into America because there's no room is false. That's a lie. We can handle it. All we have to do is change our economy, change the way we do things, and it can be done. But those who make money don't want things changed unless they profit from it. And so that's another one. Jobs. They're coming to take our jobs. No. You're not going to be fired from your job so that an immigrant can take your place. That doesn't happen. Immigrants who come typically don't have education. The ones who have education come here legitimately. They pay the fines to become an immigrant and are legally accepted. So it's not a matter of they're going to take our jobs. They end up working as slave labor on farms, doing the manual labor that no regular American wants to do. And so, yeah, Americans, you want people like that, who will do the work that you won't do, who your teenagers won't do, even though we all try to get teenagers to work at McDonald's to learn character and have a growth experience. So it's not jobs. You know, our economy is supposed to help people who make money. My video on ransom economy, listen to it. It explains the need for those who have businesses and corporations who are running the economy. They need more customers. They need more money coming in. So if we keep people out of the economy to participate in the economy, how then are they going to get richer? It's quite a conundrum that they have for themselves, but they see it as immigrants come to this land and they go right on to welfare. Well, get them a job. Get them a good paying job. And they have to then buy things. They have to buy shelter. They have to buy clothing. They have to buy food. Oh, you want them to buy the rich, expensive ostrich jackets. Capitalism, if practiced, would custom tailor the products sold in America to what people want. It's a supply and demand situation. People demand things, so there's somebody who supplies the demand. If people do not want something, there's no demand for it. Thus, it's useless to supply what there is no demand for. But that's what you see with car lots, for example. Every year, they fill their car lots throughout the nation with the brand new models, and they do all that they can to sell the old models and expect people to keep coming back year after year to upgrade. You know, there's no demand for it. People cannot afford, as a whole, to keep coming back each and every single year to buy a new upgraded model. People are poor, and they try to make things last as long as they can. And so it's a futile system for car companies to keep bringing out new models and filling their lots with the new stuff. Eventually they figured it out and decided, hey, we'll sell used cars. But, come on. It's all part of the ransom economy. And so, yeah, we want more people because they will work for people who are looking for workers. They will start their own businesses. They may have a talent for cooking or a cleaning service. There are people who want that. And if we can't get us to do it, somebody's got to do it. If they're wanting to fill in that need, great. That's not a problem. Bringing more money into the economy is not a problem. But if, like I've said in my previous video about the stages of alt-right, they don't want to give people the opportunities to make them a success in this life. And that's ridiculous. Give people opportunities. They will be productive in society once you give them opportunities. I'm not talking about giving them welfare, because when you give people welfare, yeah, okay, I'm getting it for free. I don't need to work. But you give them opportunities. You say, hey, you like to sew, you're good at sewing, you want to do sewing for a living, here's a sewing machine, here's thread, here's yarn, here's the needles and all the stuff you need for it. That becomes an investment. Remember, banks used to give out loans. See, now they don't. Oh, you don't have any money, we're not giving you a loan, we can't trust you. You don't have any collateral. And so the poor remain poor, and they become a burden on society because nobody gives them the opportunity. And I think I've got a video, or at least I did a blog on the topic of you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a man for fish, and you torture him. Or teach him, yeah. And so you can't just say, well, he was taught, he knows, he can figure it out. No, you've actually got to provide, in the metaphor that I was using, the actual pond of healthy fish. Do you understand that? You see, our Earth already has all the resources. It was originally a metaphoric pond with good, healthy fish. And so in the beginning, we just had to do the work to gather it. And then over time, people expanded and grew, and then they decided to have governments where one person dominated over everybody else and subjected everybody to supply his living. And that sort of ruined things up till now, where we're seeing government leaders who live off of the slaves of the people, and big businesses as well, who bribe the government to change the laws to support corporations over the people, and it causes a big problem. The United States has all the resources we need. We just need to better manage it. Instead of poisoning our water, poisoning our land, poisoning our air, make it healthy. Keep it healthy. Replenish trees. If you cut down a tree, plant a tree. It's that simple. It's not complicated. Make the earth a garden. Make it plentiful with resources. Don't cause animals to go extinct. Domesticate them. You know, the earth cannot, humans cannot tolerate an earth that is wild. If animals are all wild, they will kill humans. If the vegetation of the earth is running wild, like in a jungle, it will kill humans. Malaria and other diseases will attack us and kill us. So we have to domesticate the earth. We have to turn jungles and forests into gardens so that the vegetation still takes in the carbon dioxide but gives off oxygen still. And then we all live in harmony. Hakuna Matata. I think that's probably the wrong usage, but so yeah, the concept of immigrants taking jobs away and hurting the economy and ruining things for everybody, that's also a lie. You know, the more people, the better. The concept of they'll commit crime. I told you, the immigrants are unarmed. You know, even if they're MS-13, which is the new group that Trump created and emboldened, you know, what happened to the Bloods and the Crips? You know, they had the colors of Republican and Democrat. You know, are they still a threat? You know, they were the big gangs in Los Angeles, last I knew. Are they no longer a threat? What happened? Apparently, Utah has Polynesian Crips and Bloods. I don't know of anybody, or at least they didn't identify themselves. Maybe with the tattoos, I missed something, but you know, we have our skinheads here in Utah. So, you know, immigrants are not a threat. And so it seems absurd that we put immigrants on court in a trial where we don't give them due process. All you have to do is say, hey, is there any international warning threats about you? No? Okay, come on in. It's that simple. Again, there's no problem with the land. There's no problem in hurting jobs. So let them in. Why not? They're not a threat. You know, if they do, while in America, commit a crime, okay, punish them according to due process. And if they aren't a citizen yet, and they're still working on it, kick them out. Say, I'm sorry, you have to behave. You can't go around killing people. Now, of course, we need to allow them to redress grievances. And that was the previous video I did. If you don't allow people to redress grievances, they're going to protest. And sometimes protests are taking the law into their own hands, because the law is denying us our right to petition for a redress. We have to allow the courts. The Constitution already sets it out how it's supposed to be done. We just need to follow it for once in our United States history. We have never followed it. You know, speedy trial? Oh, a speedy trial is one that takes less than 2 years. No. Speedy trial is instant. Crime happens, take them to trial immediately. Don't do an investigation. This whole Trump thing is bogus. Trump is accused of colluding with Russia. You take him to trial. You keep him from becoming president until it's resolved in a court of law. There is an accuser. The accuser needs to establish the evidence in the court. And if it's found in that trial that Trump is actually innocent, okay, fine, let him be president and destroy our nation that way. But instead we let him become president, and now we're trying to say, hey, wait a minute, hold on, there was problems. Let's now get a special counsel. And he's taking years. Then Watergate was 6 years for an investigation there. You know, we've got to resolve conflicts immediately. And you don't resolve them by denying people a redress of grievances. You don't resolve them by letting accusations destroy a person's life. You need a speedy trial. It's that easy, that simple. You know, when I protested with a book because I was denied a redress of grievances, I was arrested. I sat in jail for 7 months, no trial. And then they incarcerated me without a trial, so I wasn't found guilty for 6 years. How is that due process? But, you know, hey, 6 years is longer than the statute of limitations, therefore I can no longer sue or petition for a redress of grievances in regards to my wrongful arrest. Again, that goes back to the previous video I did. And so, yeah, if people commit a crime, you know, treat each crime. It is wrong, it is unsound argument to say that when one person does it, that everybody is. So when Trump called Mexicans rapists, he was wrong. There may be 1 or 2 examples where that happened to be true, but he needed to talk about those specific examples, not generalize the whole nation. That is unsound logic, unsound reasoning. You can't do that. And so, if people are fleeing their country, we need to take them in. That's what we do as Americans. We don't leave them in their country to die. And then the other one, fear of immigrants. Well, they ain't white. Yeah, those in power are white. You know, Oprah, she's a billionaire. She's not white. So you have Dinesh D'Souza, who comes up with his movies. And in one of his movies, he talks about, in the founding of our nation, there was a black woman who was rich. She had a plantation. Therefore, there was no racism. There was no slavery. Huh? One example does not negate the whole. So, man, just unbelievable. So, again, why does it matter if somebody is of a different color? You know, whites say, oh, we're losing our heritage. Apparently, if you would stop teaching abstinence in your schools, you would learn that when a man and a woman get together, they create a baby. That's how you perpetuate the species. So if you're concerned about the white people going extinct, guess what you gotta do? Quit beating the women and start loving them. Ooh, did I just say that on social media? Yes, I did. The KKK is my reference. The KKK was dominant in the early 1900s. And then the Grand Master of the KKK was exposed for beating to death his girlfriend. And the KKK lost all prominence in America. They had to go underground in hiding for the shame that the Grand Master brought to them. and the senators who were of the KKK, had to denounce their membership, and just a big scandal. But yeah, you can't beat women. That ain't gonna do any good. And all this talk about, oh, kids are too young, you gotta live life and get married when you're in your 40s and then have 1 or 2 kids. How is that going to perpetuate the species if you just have 1 or 2 kids and the poor minorities, immigrants, are unable to afford birth control and therefore have a half dozen kids? You can do the math. I'm pretty sure you can. You do it with counting money. So if you want more white people, have more white babies. You can even afford in vitro fertilization. It's not a problem, and it's not a contest. It's not a matter of one dominant ethnic group over another. There's no need for that. We can all live together as one big family because we are of the same race, the human race. So it's incorrect to say that a person's racist. It's more of an ethnist is the correct term. But all of us humans are 0.2% within 0.2% difference. Neanderthals are 4% difference. So you can see how separated we are. And then chimpanzees, or is chimpanzees the 4%? Well, yeah, chimpanzees are further than Neanderthals. So yeah, there's no way that scientists are correct that we evolved from chimpanzees, or I guess they've identified Neanderthals, but again, there's a big enough gap that but if we can breed, we're of the same family. And so why are we trying to pick fights within our own family? So I don't understand why a color makes any difference. So hold on a second. Sorry for that. Okay, so yeah, so there's no logical argument to keep immigrants out. There's no logical argument to build a wall to keep us separate from the rest of the world. And so the only justifiable explanation is hatred, evil, corruption. So own it, those of you who are in control, who are in power. Don't come up with all these other justifications to mislead us, to think that we're going to agree with what you say. You have no position to stand on. There is no threat to America except the threat you pose to us. And so, yeah, that's the ignorance of the fear of immigrants. Just exposed and found out to be wrong. So, yeah, let's just get along. Quit the hatred.